Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We're going to get right to the phones. We've got County Judge Curtis Parrish. I was going to say Steve Evans, but he's on the line as well. But Curtis, Judge Parrish, how are you doing this morning?
Well, we're doing good, Matt. And good morning, Steve. How are you this morning? Hey, it's a blessed day in Lubbock, Texas, that's for sure.
So now, Curtis, I know that I think you. Trying to remember, but the county of Lubbock seemed to do pretty well in all of this, outages and winter storm that we had. Did we have some problems in Lubbock County as far as water or electricity during that time?
Well, I'll say that Lubbock County did fare very well, relatively speaking, during the winter storm, and that's just really. We need to do shout-outs to both LP&L and South Plains Electric Co-op. Those are the two major providers for electricity in Lubbock County. We never saw any widespread outages. There were some rolling outages just to make sure that the megawatts stayed at capacity. But I think the way that the folks at LP&L and SPEC handled at least the power issue are to be commended. They did a great job, so we never saw the outages that some of our neighbors did. I mean, Abilene, Taylor County, they lost power for, I know, at least 3 days, maybe 4 days, which meant they lost water as well. We did not have those issues in Lubbock County. So some of the problems that other counties in our area, other municipalities in West Texas had, we did not see those particular problems, and especially the problems that I know some of the Central Texas counties had, we did not have here. Last weekend, weekend before last, my wife and I, we were in Fredericksburg when the storm hit there in Gillespie County, and it hit hard. It hit that Central Texas Hill Country area hard. The storm did. I mean, we saw down power lines. Trees were snapping. It was truly a real disaster. And as we drove back last Monday, back to Lubbock, and actually the storm, the damage from the storm got less the further north and the further west you got. So it was kind of unusual. Usually bad storms happen north and west, and then they get dissipated more as you go south and east. This one was just the opposite.
So
the hard part of the storm. Yeah, I could have. I would still be in Cancun.
Well, let me ask you this:
we were certainly not warm. Fredericksburg. We had gone there for our Valentine's weekend. We had that planned, and then the storm hit. But we were able to get back to Lubbock, and we were able to kind of handle all the emergency management stuff here in Lubbock County.
Are the grapevines okay? That's the important thing.
Well, who knows?
They import most of their stuff from here anyway.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of West Texas grapes that are used in those wineries down in Central Texas.
I'm telling you. Right. So, Curtis, one thing I did want to ask: did we have? I think that both the county, the city, as well as the Atmos Energy, and like you said, the LP&L, all of those should be commended because the biggest thing I saw was we were prepared.
Yes, in fact, that's probably the biggest thing of them all. And I know I met yesterday with Matt Rose at LP&L. Of course, on calls with Atmos Energy. They knew and they could see what was coming, and that we're able to make sure that the generation. Generating electricity, providing natural gas still to customers, providing electricity to SPS, and honestly, just the fact that Lubbock County and the Lubbock area not being on ERCOT, we did not run into the problems that ERCOT had. Now, yesterday, I was with the Lieutenant Governor when he came to town, talking about the issues of ERCOT, and the Lieutenant Governor. Basically said he's going to put the solutions on his shoulders, and he's the one that is going to make sure that issues that happened last week in Texas will not happen again. And so we'll certainly be watching the legislative process over the next couple of months. And of course, as the Lieutenant Governor said, he'll bring special session after special session if necessary to make sure that the issues that we saw in Texas, overall in Texas, last week will never happen again. It was a tall order. I mean, it was a bold, tall order, but I think that there's some legislative things that can be done to better prepare Texas and the Texas grid for electrical incidents like we had last week. But also, they have to do that because, we need confidence in the electrical system. It's just little things. And as was pointed out, what happened overall in Texas with the grid was a whole series of little things. It wasn't necessarily one big thing that happened, but it was a lot of little failures. And so going back and reviewing what exactly happened and then making sure that those little failures do not become big failures. And I think that's exactly what the legislature and the Lieutenant Governor has promised that they would do. Yes, sir. No, and I will say that's purely a city's decision. That's the city of Lubbock's decision and LP&L's decision. They're making that decision. It's a financial decision. They're going to do what they would consider to be in the best interest of the citizens of Lubbock County, and citizens of Lubbock, I should say. And no, we've not spoken about putting the brakes on anything. In fact, I would say that going forward, I think moving into ERCOT would probably be, now that we've seen these little disasters happen downstate under the ERCOT system, we may come out of this with ERCOT being much stronger, much more reliable, so that things like this would not happen. Now, the one thing that I'm concerned about, and that we will make sure, and that I also brought up with the Lieutenant Governor yesterday, is that the fixes don't happen on the backs of the users, that we don't see these escalating user costs that happen. And so that's going to be on the companies to make sure that they don't put this on the backs of the customers.
All right, Judge Parrish, we have to take a quick break here. I do want to say, though, that the person asking that question, they'll have a chance to hear what the mayor has to say at 10 o'clock on the Chad Hasty show. Mayor Pope will be with Chad Hasty at 10 o'clock today.
Yes.
So if you have questions for the mayor, make sure to text those in to Chad when he comes on, and hopefully you'll get your answers. But we have to take a quick break. We've got Judge Curtis Parrish, County Judge, on the line. We'll be right back on Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin, and we're going to get right to the phones. We've got Lubbock County Judge Curtis Parrish on the line. Curtis, one of the things I wanted to ask is you had a commissioners' court meeting yesterday. Was there anything important that y'all discussed yesterday?
Not much. It was just kind of some regular course of business, taking care of some contracts that we needed to extend. But one of the things that we did talk about, spend a little time on, is that now that we're 1 year into COVID and how COVID has affected us here in Lubbock County directly, we got a really good, detailed report from our HR department about how COVID has affected Lubbock County employees, specifically how it has affected our insurance, and some surprising things and some not surprising things. But one of the things that we've noticed that actually our healthcare costs, overall healthcare costs, have declined from 2019. Now that's due to a couple of factors. One is COVID did not hit our Lubbock County employees as much as it hit the general population. That's really a testimony to our employees on keeping themselves safe, keeping the public safe who come to the courthouse. But the other thing is we know that because of COVID, the hospitalization rates went down for non-COVID related incidents. For instance, if you needed a knee replacement, chances are it got put off because they were not doing knee replacements. So our insurance costs surprisingly went down from 2019 to 2020. Now, what went up, and this to me was probably the biggest surprise of them all, what went up and went up dramatically was our behavioral health costs. We saw more and more of an increase in the need for our employees in behavioral health, for mental health issues. And so what we saved, and we saved, medical costs quite a bit, but we saw a dramatic increase in our mental health costs. And I think what you're seeing is not only that just in Lubbock County employees, but we're seeing that across the board. I think in our general public as well, we're seeing the increased need of mental health. I think people were really struggling in 2020 in mental health issues. I know I saw it as the mental health judge here in Lubbock County. I saw an increase of that as well. So
yeah, a lot of it I think has to do with being inside all the time,
yes,
and not having
the
connections with the people around you.
You're right, Matt. Being quarantined, having kids not being at school, and parents having to really both be not just a parent but also be a teacher. And it was stressing out a lot of families. And so I think we've kind of seen that overall. Not just through Lubbock County employees, but really throughout the general population as well.
Now, according to everythinglubbock.com, they're saying that Lubbock has a 17% of its population vaccinated, and when you mix that with the people who've had COVID, it seems like we're hitting a point where maybe some type of, and maybe not as much as that you would actually call an immunity, but some type of, you're seeing a lot less potentially moving forward of people having COVID just because so many people have had something that to help them not get it.
Well, and Matt, I think it's a combination of all those things, not just the fact that we've had a lot of people who have contracted COVID and recovered from it, along with the vaccines from it, but also I think you're seeing people that are doing those sensible things like wearing masks in public and maintaining social distance. All of those things work together to lower the infection rate and thus lower the hospitalization rate, and then lower the death rate. All of those things all go hand in hand. So I don't think it's any one thing. It's not just vaccines, and it's not just herd immunity, but I think you combo all of those things together, and I think that's what's lowering the infection rate.
So have you or the county commissioners, have y'all put up some kind of timeline or expectation of when you want the county to be reopened and 100%?
Well, first of all, the county never closed. We've always operated. Lubbock County government has always operated at 100%. Now we did things like some of our employees who could work from home. We set up computer links for them to work from home if possible. But Lubbock County we never closed one day at Lubbock County for governmental services because of COVID, and never planned to. And that's one thing that's certainly a testimony to the employees of Lubbock County who continue to offer government services even in the middle of the pandemic, even at its worst. So we are at 100%. I mean, we are operating. One of the big operations of Lubbock County is the detention center. We operate a jail and a sheriff's department. We never saw. We didn't have to release prisoners. We always kept staffing there, and that's a testimony to the sheriff's department and to the jail administration that they kept everything in Lubbock County running even during the worst of the pandemic.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're speaking with Lubbock County Judge Curtis Parrish. Going to take one more quick break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We've got Steve Evans sitting in for Dave King, and we've got the County Judge Curtis Parrish on the line. And Curtis, we've got about 2 minutes left. Is there anything that you wanted to get into while we have time?
Well, I know we talked earlier about Lubbock and Lubbock County's response to the winter storm that we just went through. And I would say also that Lubbock County stands by to help its neighbors. I know while Lubbock County fared very well through this, without widespread damage that we've seen certainly in other counties, that the resources and that Lubbock County stands by to help its neighbors. I know Garza County Post, they're having water main issues and they're struggling down there. Crosby County is struggling. So many of our neighbors in West Texas are still struggling, trying to thaw out, as it were, from this winter storm, and so that Lubbock County stands by to help its neighbors. Just was talking just earlier with our neighbor just to the west of us, Hockley County. They also fared relatively well during the winter storm, and so I think that's what West Texans do. We stand with each other, and when one of us is hurting and when one of us needs help, the others are ready to stand by and help. That's the West Texas way.
Yeah. All right. Well, Judge Parrish, thank you so much for coming in or calling in and speaking with us. We'll talk to you again here in about a month.
Yes, sir.
All right.
God bless you all.
Yeah. God bless you as well. All right, we will be back after this break on Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin with Steve Evans online. We'll be right back.